Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to all of you. I thank you all for joining today's webinar. This is the seventh episode of webinar organized by ReForm that aims to disseminate knowledge on crucial topics by distinguished faculties and practitioners from respective fields across the globe. We at ReForm aim to give Bangladesh a new scholarly face that the world values. Our mission is to bring researchers together through knowledge sharing and to innovate and enhance the productivity and technological advancement of Bangladesh. The title for today's presentation is Environmental Planning and Research, and our today's speaker is Mr. Masum A Patwary. A little bit about him. He has in excess of decade experience in the field of environmental science. He has completed his bachelor's and master's in geography and environment from Jahangirnagar University, Bangladesh, and his PhD in environmental science from the School of Science and Engineering, Teshedi University, Middlesbrough, UK. Mr. Masum has published books and more than 25 scientific articles related to the environment in eminent journals. He serves as a reviewer for approximately 40 journals and is an editorial board member of 4 journals. Currently, he is the chief editor of the Journal of Geography, Environment, and Earth Science. He has served in several roles, including environmental advisor of KP Foods, United Biscuits UK, researcher and lecturer at School of Science, Engineering at Teshedi University UK, Academic Council member, Department of Geography and Environmental Science of Begum Rokeya University, Rangpur, Bangladesh. Environmental advisor, PRISM, Bangladesh Foundation for Planning and Development of Duckweed-based wastewater treatment system, community-based arsenic-free drinking water supply and toxic waste management. He taught and supervised a number of master's and PhD students in Teshedi University, UK. At present, he is an environmental scientist for California Department of Transportation. To present an organized webinar, I'd like to request all the participants to mute their microphones. A question and answer session will be held after the talk. Now I'd like to request Mr. Masum to present his speech. The floor is all yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. Can all of you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, sounds clear.
Thank you. So my introduction has already been given. I would like to go through my presentation. First of all, thanks to all of you, personally, Dr. Muhammad Tariq sir, and also Mobin. He contacted me several times. He gave me some idea and guidelines how we can do this presentation better. Well, if anyone wants, I can go through either English or Bengali or both. So I believe everyone would like my presentation. Actually, the presentation is based on, my example will be based on Bangladesh, but the overall presentation will be in general that will help you for your professional life. And if there is any academia, that also help for all of you. Thank you so much, and thanks again for giving me this opportunity. Let's start. So let me share my screen first. Well, okay. I'm just going to off my camera so that internet connection will give good strength. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, it's clear, visible.
Okay. Okay, let me go in presentation mode. So, environmental planning and research. So, I believe all of you have some idea already on environmental consideration, planning, project planning, and research. let's discuss from both sides, like from my end and also all of you, and how we can move forward for environmental consideration in any kind of project plannings and related to research activities. We all know and aware that in a project management, planning is a important phase which actually describes the scope of the projects and what is the purpose of the project and also the need. Why do we need that project? However, if we go through the environmental planning, that is one of the most important steps that ensures the project is in compliance with the environmental consideration, like this project will not any impact or adverse impact on environment, or if there is any impact, how we can avoid or minimize or mitigate. So that's the main goal of environmental planning for a project. Nowadays, the world, I mean, the globally, we are thinking this is a global village, and we all are aware about our environment and how we can actually minimize our environmental changes that will affect our climate change. Okay, so let's see, there are so many exhibits of environmental planning and project planning. Those all of you I believe are aware about those, and I'm not going through each of them. I'm just showing these because it will be a huge time to cover all of these. Like, say, what is environmental planning? As I said, this is a kind of roadmap where we include the environmental compliance, environmental impact, or environmental consideration. It includes like the project plan, project scope, purpose, need, schedule, resource management, resource allocation, and finally the risk analysis and risk strategies, how we can minimize the risks. Well, um, it would not be any matter like whether the project is like online, like a development of a website, or like a big construction, big project. Like in Bangladesh nowadays, the current government have developed so many big projects, such as we know the Padma Bridge, and or like the metro rail and tunnel. So lots of big projects are going on currently, and some of them are very successfully developed and completed. So so far I am aware that all of those projects are considered the environment, and environmental planning has been done. Like the Padma Bridge, the consultant of there were a panel of consultancy board from international panel, and there is a one consultant from my agency, actually, where I am working currently now. So I know all of those projects in Bangladesh going on in compliance with the environmental planning, and particularly the current government, they are considering the environmental compliance very strictly. That's we all are aware about that. So, well, I mean, environmental planning, we can make it a phase by phase, how such as like what products or service will be delivered from this project. Like such a project we are taking, like we may build up a transportation network in Dhaka, around Dhaka, or like surroundings Dhaka, and how we can do that. So, and what service that will provide us. We know if we develop a transportation network that will serve our daily life in various ways, such as like our economic stability, economic strategy, social interaction, lots of things. And like now we have to think what would be our purpose of this project, why we need that. There is a purpose and there is also need. I mean, in environmental planning, we have to think the three things first. That is the project scope. What would be the project scopes? What is the purpose? And what is the need of this project. And then finally, how we can measure this project up to the completion level, and what sort of metrics we can consider to monitor this measurement. Finally, we need to think about what environmental decision or what environmental level we need to prepare and we need to think about. This depends on the environmental impact, like what level of environmental impact could be occur for this project. So that's we need to think about. Now, during the project, environmental planning, we need to think such as if we consider or if we set up a strategy beginning of the projects that will help us to minimize the mitigation cost. As I said before, like environmental impact, how we can consider this. First of all, we can consider like avoid, such as we are going to develop a transportation network or a very big industry. If there is any environmental consideration, like there may be a community or residential area or near to residential area or adjacent to residential area, we know there are some like Savar, Gazipur, and some of the areas in Bangladesh. How we can avoid that area? Is there any chance? Yes, it is like the tannery, which was in Dhaka, but it's already moved the location from Dhaka to Gazipur. So we try to avoid the advanced level of environmental impact or environmental consideration. If we cannot avoid, we will try to minimize the environmental impact. So that is also our one of the important consideration. And if we cannot minimize, like if we need to develop a project and that will we know that it could be affected on our environment, then we have to mitigate the estimation of our environmental effect, and then how we can mitigate those some of the mitigation strategies. And there is several numbers of mitigation strategies that we can deal with. So we have to think three things. One, avoid. First of all, we will try to avoid. If not, then minimize. And then if not, finally, we have to mitigate. And in that way, we need to think about our environmental decision, environmental impact. But before that, like the which one we will do. If it's avoid, then we are totally fine. We don't need to go through the detailed environmental study. But if it is minimize and mitigate, particularly for mitigation, we have to go a very detailed environmental study. What sort of environmental study do we need? We need different kinds of environmental study. As I said, like if we go for a transportation, so far I know in Bangladesh there are so many transportation development are going on, such as the Padma Bridge. There are so many big bridges, culverts, road network, and tunnel under the Karnataka River. So there are so many transportation road developments are going on. Road developments projects are going on. That's why I'm focusing on that. However, what sort of study or research we have to do? Well, we have to do think like this way. We are going to develop a road that will be like in Bangladesh there is no any freeway, but there is so many highway. I mean, Bangladesh there are lots of highways. Now we are thinking we will develop another highway from let's think about from where? Can anyone give us any example current road construction? Can anyone help me?
Dhaka Chittagong Highway. Dhaka Chittagong.
Okay, so like Dhaka Chittagong Highway, that one is currently, so far I know, 2 lanes highway. Yeah, am I right?
Yeah. 2 lane now is constructing 4 lanes.
It is
Construction
already
4 lanes.
4 lane.
It is
Already
already
four lanes.
4 lane. It is already 4 lane, but Dhaka Tangail Highway is now under construction with the 4 lane from 2 lanes.
Okay, so let's go with Dhaka and Tangail. Okay, that is now going to develop 4 lane. That means roads are widening. That means lots of lands will be acquired by the government, and those lands could be from private land, from company land, or some of the lands are already government land. I mean public property. Okay, so we have to require those lands, and in that case we have to relocate some of the small business, some of the building, some of the construction industries, some of the residential areas. Am I right? Yes, I know. In from Dhaka to Tangail, there will be those kind of impacts. So what sort of research we need to do, such as air quality, because when we go for this long project, this would be a very big project, and there will be air pollution. There may be a chance of very air pollution matters like particulate matter that will effect on our air, and those particulate matter, if it's exceed the level of particulate matter, so far I know it could be particulate matter 10, then it will affect our respiratory system. So we need to assess that one, what sort of level of air pollution will be occurred. Also, the natural environmental studies, such as from Dhaka to Tangail, there are so many natural environment, both sides of the road or projected area. So we have to study that one, so, and also biological study of wetland. We know in Bangladesh that's a really blessing from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Like there are so many wetland in our country, like in a particular time during the year, the lands are wet and there are some vegetations that is particularly from that period they just grown up. So this is think like this water is comes from nature, and the land is wet. Due to weight of this land, the surroundings area and environmental, I mean natural environmental is runs smoothly. But we normally don't realize or recognize those wetland, and what do? We just normally clean those area, and we will construct our project. So it shouldn't be, because it's a very adverse impact. There may be a chance very adverse impact on environment. So we have to assess those wetland, how we can save or how we can avoid those areas. So, and also if there is any archaeological features or architectural historian features that we have to consider. If there is any tribal community living, that we have to consider. Noise study, yes, we have to study the noise, because there will be a lots of huge and large engine will work, or machine will work during the construction. So those machines will impact on our natural environment, such as the machine sounds will affect on our birds life, on our natural animals life. So that will finally impact on our environment. Also the visual impact assessment, like when we construct any road network, we normally don't consider about the our visual impact. We just distribute all the, or we just placed our huge load engines in different ways, staging in different way. That shouldn't be, because that will impact on our mental health. Like a visual impact is related on our mental health or psychological health. If you see, think like a very simple way. If you see some good, like a flower, you will feel better. If you see some brutal things, that will affect your psychological phenomena. So that has to be considered. Definitely water study, hydrology study, paleontology, or some kind of soil study, that we need to do. The one more important, as I said, like community, some of the part of this construction will go through the community, I mean residential area, community area. So in some cases, some community has to be relocated, or some community will lose their I mean historical place, or their birthplace. That will affect their mental health, and some of them will lose their psychological disorder. So that we need to do the detailed environmental research before we go any environmental planning, such as the construction development or any road transportation network development. After those study, what we will do, we will summarize those study, and those study that will show us which level of environmental impact could be occurred. Based on those, all of those studies, we will think like this project may be categorically exempt, like there will be no effect or impact. The next stage will be, well, there could be some effect, but we can minimize that effect. We can avoid that effect. So in that case, we will do some kind of initial studies. The next level will be environmental impact assessment. That would be like this project will have some impact, but we can minimize those impact. And the last one will be environmental impact report. That means this project has or will be environmentally impacted, but we have to mitigate those impact, and how we will mitigate that will be decided from the project management team, project environmental management team. It could be by some monetary or some I mean I don't know, that's the government level decision. So that could be the way for mitigate, and that level of environmental planning will be and the report will be environmental impact report. After those preparation of all these reports, which is relevant, then we have to include our I mean adjacent community, I mean adjacent public community, like, because these all are owner of the public property. So we have to involve them, we have to engage them with this project, and we need their some kind of suggestions, guidelines, and comments. That will be the participatory environmental planning. So what we can do, we can arrange an open house, public hearing, public reach out in different ways, such as electronic, print, and social media, and we can offer them to be involved as a public participation. So before the environmental plan is finalized, the project manager needs to receive approval from the compliance management. So compliance management is always from the government level, and government is always affiliated to some of the agencies. It could be, so far I know in Bangladesh, that is the director of environment, like Poribesh Adhidaptar. So far I know, and Poribesh Adhidaptar is located as in Shere Bangla Nagar, that I saw a long time before. I'm not sure still that one is there. And they have some branches in different district levels. So we need the approval from them. And then always have to monitor the risk, the quality of work, and that has to be open for the public involvement and public engagement. If anyone wants to know what is going on, the project management team will be responsible to give them in details, and that will ensure the transparency of the projects. So that was actually the environmental planning in a very short way. I just try to describe. Now, what I will do, we have done a very good environmental planning in Bangladesh. So I'm taking that example from Bangladesh. That is like a medical waste treatment plant, and this is the project that is personally we received a call from current government, the highest authority. I mean, the current prime minister. She was very interested, and she's the first lady who actually speak about the medical waste. I mean, the term medical waste, and that's why one day I received a call when I was involved with this consultancy. I received a call from her office, I mean, Prime Minister's office regarding medical waste management, and she took an initiative for overall, I mean, the country to manage medical waste, and she tries to develop. I'm not sure where it is exactly right now, but I knew since then that she took some initiatives such as the development of medical waste management rules. I was one of the member of that team on that time. So what was actually that? Like the medical waste before the treatment plant, let's say about Dhaka city, medical waste disposed of anywhere like the roadside and mixed with the general municipality waste. And what the finalization of that, such as when normally medical waste generated from any healthcare establishments, those all are not hazardous. Only 15 to 20%, according to WHO, are hazardous medical waste or toxic. And medical waste is the waste that includes all kind of toxic things like chemicals, bacteria, virus, pathogenic, like biota. Those all the dangerous things are related with. Also, like extra film, so that means like radioactive waste. So all those toxic things are related with medical waste. But toxic medical waste is generated from healthcare establishment is only 15 to 20%, as those waste were not treated properly. These mixed with the other general waste and turn all the waste as hazardous, and it's just scattered around the Dhaka city before. Now, we thought about that how we can treat those waste, and I personally work on this. That was the scenario on that time, like solid medical waste or liquid medical waste. Before, I personally collected those data from one of the organization, collaboration with the Prism Bangladesh and Teesside University UK, and we collected different kinds of sample from Dhaka city, from different healthcare establishments such as Dhaka Medical College, Salimullah Medical College, Postmortem Room, and the other private clinic and pathological center. Look, some of the scenarios on that time regarding medical waste disposal, such as there is the number 3 picture, a lady, she's wearing a simple shari and handling medical waste with the trolley, which is supposed to use for patients carrying, but she is carrying a medical waste with that one. So this is I mean, that's the fate of the medical waste before. However, we made a plan. We collected different kinds of sample, and we also done some of the structured, semi-structured, and unstructured interview formally and informally. What we found, like we collected a water sample, soil sample, plants. Water sample like Dhanmondi Lake, where lots of I mean clinics are disposed their I mean discharge their liquid waste directly to the Dhanmondi Lake and Gulshan Lake. We collected the water sample from that point. Actually, we strategized some methodological way. We collected water, we collected soil, like where the medical waste is dumped, and also we collected some of the plants where medical waste is dumped and plants are growing. we analyzed different kinds of heavy metal. Um, I'm just showing here just only one heavy metal, that is chromium. And chromium, if chromium level is high, it is adversely impact on human health. And we found whether it is water, soil, or plants. Look, the chromium level is significantly high with our subject control sample. In water, that's also the chromium level was high, soil high, and plants. Not only that, we asked some of the clinical assessment. We did some clinical assessment, and we found that the HCE worker means the healthcare establishments worker, treatment operators, the people who are working in Mathuail. Scavengers means the individuals who collecting personally the medical waste from different healthcare establishments area, or from in front of healthcare establishment. And some of the recycle operators, like they are recycle the medical waste, just particularly the medical waste. And these are the symptoms of they are affected. We have done some clinical observation, like some serological test. And interesting thing is, we found the individual who are working with the medical waste for a long time, their serological test is potentially significant for their health. Not only that, there is a very interesting study that is published already with the collaboration of Stanford University, California. Like, the people who are involved with some kind of like medical waste, medical waste, in some in some way, they are affected on a neurological way, and it is a way of going to drug addiction. And that's a very sensitive research we have done. So I'm not going to describe all of this. If anyone interested, you can search on website and you will find this results. Well, let's go. So on that time, there was no vision of medical waste management. We thought that we had to make a vision that will help us and help our community people, help our city public for their environmental health. So we decide how we can make this happen. Then the Prism Bangladesh have started collaboration with the Dhaka City Corporation since 2015. 2005. Actually, they have developed their like the treatment medical waste management treatment plan in Mathuail, I believe Jatrabari Mathuail, all of you are aware about that. And they have started their treatment plant. What they did or what they're doing currently, actually, in-house management and outward management and institutional support. They have developed actually some sanitary landfilling, specialized collection. They collect the medical waste through a specialized designated van and transport those medical waste to the treatment center. And in a treatment center, they use like autoclaving, incineration, chemical disinfection, then deep burial for body parts and also for sharps, and shredding some recyclable items such as saline bags, shearings, those. But needles are normally they put in a burial. And they are working still now for human resource development, not only the nurse and practitioners, but also the people who are involved with the healthcare, such as pathology diagnostics center, ambulance, those all sort of stuff. And they are working for in-house management, outward management, and human resource development. They collected the waste, and also they are there is a one I believe one deputy secretary of government of Bangladesh. He is also working on medical waste, and actually he is doing his PhD on medical waste currently right now, so far I know. So these are the things we developed to manage the medical waste in a different way. I believe you have seen the medical waste treatment van in Dhaka city. It's now expanding not only Dhaka city, but Narayanganj, Savar, Sylhet, Chittagong, then Rangpur, Rajshahi, lots of areas. These are the some kind of system of medical waste management, as I said, designated vehicle. Then this one is the autoclaving, incineration, disinfection, burial pit. Those are currently practicing. So why should we think about a medical waste management plan? Because it could be a model to save our environment. It is actually as a human rights to protect environmental health and to reduce the transmission of diseases. Also, to prevent reuse and repackaging of medical waste disposal. I'm not sure whether you are aware that some of the medical waste, which is already waste, but it is reused and repackaged and back to our community. Sometimes we are affecting a very dangerous communicable diseases, but we don't know the root where it is comes from. Normally we think about always the economic capital, but please don't think always the economic capital. Economic capital we need to develop, but it is a gifted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have already, particularly for the country like Bangladesh, we have already environmental capital. So we have to save our environmental capital, and we have to increase our environmental capital rather than economic capital. That will help our future life and protect us from climate change at least minimum level. So we have to think those for our generation, for our next generation, not only for us. And I believe that's it. My today's lecture. If anyone have any questions regarding any of the things, like for me or for my presentation, please ask me. Feel free to ask anything. I would try to address those questions. And I'm not sure whether all of you have you enjoy my presentation. I know I have I have not very fluency of English, and I have accent because I'm also from Bangladesh, so that's why I'm not very good in English, but I tried my level best. And also, if you want, I can go through Bengali. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Patwary, for such an insightful and informative presentation. Now I'd like to commence with the question and answer session. In this part, I'd like all the participants to place their question by the raise of hands. And I request the speaker to take note of the questions first and to answer after all the questions have been asked.
May I ask some questions, Mr. Mahdi?
Okay, Golam Farxal, let's start with you. Please, the comments.
Thank you very much, the presenter today, Mr. Masum Patwary. It is excellent presentation and very new idea for me. Basically, I did a PhD on environmental planning from Australia, the University of Queensland. So I very enjoyed this presentation. Thank you. Actually, this is very new initiation in Bangladesh. If we can do research in our country before implementation of any project, but now in our country, what is required? We need a feasibility study for a large project, and we need some environmental impact assessment. We need, in some cases, gender analysis. These three types of assessment tool we usually prepared before going to a very big project in our country, but no research. For this, I think a policy or any guidelines, which is usually done by the EIA, they should initiate this kinds of new issues. We can do some research on the types of project, on the basis of the project. So it will be very useful and we can get very good results from here. So we can mitigate many areas which is not possible only the EIA process. So it will be very helpful for us. Thank you. This is my comment. So I think we can think about this. The research is required before implementation of the project in our country. What do you think, Mr. Masum?
Thank you so much, Mr.
Please,
Gulab.
I'll request Mr. Masum to take note of the question to present an organized question and answer session. Would that be possible from your end?
That means you are asking me to write down those questions, or should I address right now? I believe
it
if
would
I
be
can
really
address
great
one
if
by
we.
one.
Okay, that's fine by you.
But I should also like to follow your way. I mean, your
Usually,
general way.
what we do is we present the questions first. The
Mahdi
speaker
and Dr. Patwary, I think from the management perspective, it would be better if you just note down the questions and then in one go you answer all those questions. Otherwise, it will take a lot of time to go one by one. And
Okay,
I request also my colleagues to not give comments, but please raise issues or questions as brief as possible. And Mahdi, please, you conduct these sessions as it is required.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. And I will follow that one, Dr. Tariq. Also, I would request, please don't repeat the questions if it is more or less similar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now I'd like to request Ms. Masum A to present a question.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say something. I have actually two issues to know from the speaker. First one is he discussed about a research on medical waste. I just want to know whether this study includes the occupational safety issues, because if we deal with medical waste, I think this safety issue should also be considered, because it also creates some sort of health hazard that could be infectious also. This is my first issue that I want to know from you. And the second one is you have told that when we do any environmental assessment or do any project or planning, we need to be very cautious, or we need to address the environmental issues. But if as a country, when we take this kind of project or planning, we are addressing this. But as you already know, environmental issues have some transboundary effects as well. If others are not continuing this, or our neighbors are not addressing this, then how we could actually contribute to environment preservation? That was my issues that I want to know from you. I hope you got my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masum for presenting your question. I'd like to move on to Ms. Taslim Islamduti. I request you to present your question.
Thank you, Mahdi. I have two questions, sir, and I would like to ask my question in Bengali language. May I? স্যার, আমার প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে যে আমরা পরিবেশ বাঁচানোর জন্য অনেক কথাই বলি। পরিবেশ বাঁচানোর একটা অন্যতম উপায় হতে পারে ছাদ বাগান, কিন্তু পরিবেশ অধিদপ্তরের ছাদ বাগান সংক্রান্ত কোনো আইন নাই, যেই আইনের মাধ্যমে যারা ছাদ বাগান দ্বারা ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হয় তারা কোনো আইনি সহযোগিতা পেতে পারে। তো সেক্ষেত্রে কোনো আইন তৈরি হওয়া দরকার কিনা, এবং এখন যেহেতু ডেঙ্গুর সময়, কেউ কেউ বলছেন ছাদ বাগানের কারণে ডেঙ্গু বেড়ে যাচ্ছে, সেক্ষেত্রে শুধুমাত্র সচেতনতা বৃদ্ধি ছাড়া আমরা কি আর কোনো পথ অবলম্বন করতে পারি? কারণ ডেঙ্গুর কারণে ছাদ বাগানকে এখন অনুৎসাহিত করা হয়।
Thank you, Mr. Aslim Duty, for your question. I'd like to move on to Ms. Dr. Mohammad Latif to present his question. Sir, please present his question by unmuting your mic.
Dr. Latif or Dr. Me?
Dr. Latif, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mahdi. Thank you, presenter. My question is, we know about that we are going forward like around 6 to 7% GDP, but due to environmental degradation, we are losing 2% of our GDP. So I want to ask to presenter that if there is any study on that. My second question is regarding environmental degradation. We have idea about environmental Kuznets curve. There is environmental Kuznets curve is the country is going on when income is rise. First time environment is degrade due to lots of growth occurred, and when it is inverted, it will be inverted. So in that position, Bangladesh will take more care about environment when there is also concern of GDP growth. So what should we take care of? First, GDP growth or concern about environment? What do you think about our position? Am I clear?
Thank you, sir, for your valuable question. I'd like to move on to Dr. Prince to present his question.
Thank you so much. Actually, I want to know a few things. There was a network problem, so maybe I could not understand everything clearly. So my question is, I mean, you talked about the avoidance, mitigate, and minimize. So is it, can we actually follow any force field analysis? I mean, how to manage these changes, the stakeholders' reaction to manage these steps? This is my first question. And the second question is, you talked about different types of research. For example, the mental problems and soil degradation, air pollution, noise, and all these. So, and maybe I am not really clear. I mean, those research will be done before or after the project is completed, because that needs huge time, first of all. And again, if we actually do the research continuously, that makes sense that, yeah, we can, after implementing the project, we can manage the actions and reactions, the impact of a human and environmental effect on our community and society. So these are my two questions. Thank you for your patience here.
Thank you, Dr. Prince, for your kind questions. I see no raise of hand. There was a raise of hand from Tarek sir, but unfortunately, I don't see it now. If nobody has any more questions, I'd like to present mine. I have went through the entire presentation. If I don't get it wrong, there is only a handful of medical waste processing facilities. I just want to know, PRISM has started working with the government since 2005. In all these years, was the facilities not good enough to expand medical waste treatment across the Bangladesh, or is Matwal single-handedly enough to host all the, or to process all the medical waste produced by Bangladesh? What was the limitation? Was it land procurement, financial, or administrative? Since we are closely related with the project. That was my question. I'd like to request Dr. Mahmoud Tarek sir to present his question.
Thank you, Mahdi, and my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Masum Patwary for accepting our request and presenting the broad contour of environmental planning, need for research, and spend some time on waste management issues. My first comment is, I think in the case of Bangladesh, waste management, especially medical waste management, we are lacking far behind on the on a very basically. First, we don't have any legal framework policy, and secondly, we are not yet strategic enough that how to face that medical waste issues. Secondly, on the areas of research issues on big project, mega projects, I think you cover more or less all the issues. But in the context of Bangladesh, I think river training, issues of river training, issues of land, issues of resettlements are quite crucial, which I think you haven't mentioned. And the third point that I want to, actually, in the context of Bangladesh, the waste management remains with the NGOs and city corporations. My question is those institutions are powerful enough or strong enough or have capacity to address the overall environmental issues, planning issues, and especially medical waste management issues. With that, I again want to convey my thanks to Dr. Patwary, and that's the three questions that I have. Okay, thank you, Patwary.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammad Tarek sir, to present your insightful comments. Now I'd like to move on with the answer session. I'd like to request Mr. Masum Patwary to answer all the presented questions and to evaluate all the comments.
Thank you so much again for giving me this opportunity. I tried to write it down, all of the questions. If I'm not wrong, if I'm wrong, please correct me. Let me go one by one. First of all, one who is from who is done his PhD from Australia. I forgot his name. So actually, I did not write any of your name. So I'm just going through the. Going address to answer your question. Well, first one was actually comments. There was no questions, and he actually made his comments to develop some kind of environmental assessment, environmental research, environmental consideration regarding any of the projects based on my presentation. Yes, so far I know in Bangladesh right now, most of the mega projects are considering the environmental study or environmental compliance. Like most of the studies are funded by outsourcing, I mean from another country or another financial institution from the world. So it is required that you has to be that project has to be evaluated through environmental compliance. So those are doing, but well, in Bangladesh context, we can say like it is more enough than it was not before. So I would say this is a good things, and like the researchers or the personnel who are working with the governments right now or already work with government, they are considering environment. So that's a very good initiative. The second question, there was two questions. One was occupational safety, occupational issues. Well, for medical waste, yes, I mean medical waste management, that's the main issue for occupational safety, not only for the healthcare provider like doctors or nurse. We are considering about the person who is collecting the medical waste from roadside bin, from roadside outside of the healthcare establishment. So that's why these medical waste managements are thinking. And occupational safety is definitely a significant issue who are working with medical waste, like the waste collector in healthcare establishments. So we considered that those things, and our main focus was basically to uh, prevent the health and safety for all the personals, not only for the people who are exposed to medical waste. So yes, we are considering. Her another question was like sometimes environmental pollution or environmental contamination is one of the criteria for cross country, like as she mentioned from the other countries. That's why environment or environmental degradation is not able to manage. But this is not exactly the issue. All we are now thinking about environmental consideration. We have to think my own surroundings first, how much we are doing, how much we can consider. Some of them definitely the international cross-boundary issues, but that is far. That is different things. That's like international jurisdictions. So, but we have to think our own area, own land, like in our country, how we are considering the environmental compliance. So I'm not agree that the other country is actually they are able to give us or enforce for our environmental degradation. If you are not clear, you can talk to me, because I'm not actually detailing this answer, because this is two national policy levels answer, so I'm not actually going through details. That one. The next question was Poribesh and Chad Bagan. And Chad Bagan, she said, okay, she asked in Bengali, so I'm going through Bengali. ছাদ বাগান বলা হচ্ছে যে ছাদ বাগানের জন্য ডেঙ্গু রোগ বেশি হচ্ছে। অ্যাকচুয়ালি ছাদ বাগানের জন্য ডেঙ্গু রোগ বেশি হবে না, কারণ হচ্ছে যে যদি ছাদ বাগানটা ক্লিয়ার থাকে, কারণ প্রত্যেকটা গাছের নিচে যে আবর্জনাগুলো থাকে কিংবা মরা পাতাগুলো থাকে, সেই পাতাগুলোকে ক্লিন করে রাখতে হয়, তাহলে সেখানে মশার লার্ভা তৈরি হবে না। এটা একটা ব্যাপার। যে কোনো গাছের গোড়াই পরিষ্কার রাখতে হয়, সেখানে যেন কোনো মজা পানি জমে না থাকে। আপনি যদি সুন্দর করে ছাদ বাগান করেন তাহলে সেখানে মজা পানি জমে থাকার কথা না, এবং সেই জন্য সেখানে কোনো রকম কোনো মশার লার্ভাও তৈরি হওয়ার কথা না। এত উপরে মশার লার্ভা সাধারণত তৈরি হয় নিচের দিকে, মানে স্যাঁতসেঁতে জায়গায়, গ্রাউন্ড লেভেলে, নট ছাদের উপরে। আরেকটা বিষয় হচ্ছে যে ছাদ বাগান সম্পর্কিত কোনো আইন আছে কিনা বা আইন করবে কিনা, এটা একান্তই বাংলাদেশ গভর্নমেন্টের ব্যাপার। সো এই বিষয়ে আমি কোনো আনসার করবেন। তবে আমি যতটুকু জানি আমাদের বাংলাদেশে যে পরিবেশ আইন এবং পরিবেশ নীতিমালা আছে, সেখানে এই বিষয়গুলো কভার করা আছে। মানে হয়তো পার্টিকুলারলি ছাদ বাগানের কথা উল্লেখ করা নেই, কিন্তু যেইভাবে আছে সেগুলো যদি আমরা যারা ছাদ বাগান করি, মানে পার্সোনাল লেভেলে, আমরা সেগুলো কতটা মানি বা কতটা জানি, সেই জিনিসগুলো জানা দরকার। পরবর্তীতে প্রয়োজন হলে আইন তৈরি করা হতে পারে, কিন্তু আইন তৈরি করার চাইতে আইন দিয়ে আমাকে বেঁধে রাখার চেয়ে আমি নিজে কতটুকু ক্লিয়ার হচ্ছি সেটাকে অনেক বেশি দরকার না? আইন থাকলেই আমি ভালো মানুষ হব, আইন না থাকলে আমি ভালো মানুষ হব না, বিষয়টা তো এমন হয়ে গেল, তাই না? আচ্ছা, তো এই ছিল আপনারটা। এরপরে যিনি ছিলেন, হি asked me about the GDP, like if GDP is going up, then there is a chance for environmental degradation. Sorry, not like that, because environmental consideration is one of the significant phenomena of GDP. So it is not like that GDP is growing, then environmental degradation is occur. That's why my presentation, like environmental planning, if you think about environmental planning and when you took any kind of projects, and if you consider the environmental planning, that will work concurrently, simultaneously, like GDP will also grow up, and environmental increasement, that's I'm saying, like environmental capital will also increase. And well, where is the next questions? Let me see. And oh well, and next question was like he didn't understand the avoidance, minimization, mitigation. Well, he's asking about. Okay, I heard some background noise. Anyway, so we said when you go for any environmental planning, you have to think like if you are taking any projects on any sort of project. So you need to think this project will, but if there is any chance for environmental impact, we supposed to avoid that. How we can avoid? Like, well, we are going to build a or widening a road from Dhaka to Tangai. So there is a part that our road transportation network will go through a community bazaar, community hut. We can think whether we can avoid that community bazaar. Otherwise, that community bazaar has to be relocated, resettled. So in that way, we can think like how we can avoid. If not, then minimize. How less impact we can make through this project. If not, finally, we have to mitigate. Like if this hut or bazaar need to be relocated, what minimal level of environmental impact could occur that we need to consider, and there is some kind of guidelines that depends on country to country, region to region, that has to be developed first, and then we can do that, and it is applicable and it is implemented all over the world in developed countries. So we can do that. And you also asked about the research. Well, how we can do that research. You said about different kinds of research. This research has to be done during the, before implementation of the project. Yes, it will take time, but if you think to save your environment, to save your community, to save your country, you supposed to take a time frame that how long it could take to complete those research study, and you have to do that research study. Otherwise, that will be not environmental planning. So we need that, whether it is taking time or not. So we have to do those all sorts of. And the other thing is, I describe different kinds of research, but it is not like that. Like in a one project we have to consider all those research. Some of the projects we don't need all those research. Like if we go for a medical waste management treatment plant, we don't need all those research. Where are we going? Medical treatment plant, Mathwell. In Mathwell, there we don't need to think about the community impact assessment. So we don't need community impact assessment research. So that depends on research. Will be depends on the projects. Okay. Now the next question is, well, Mathwell is only the one treatment center? No, not. I said about Mathwell because that was the first one. But there are so many treatment center already in Bangladesh. Yes, those are not enough to treat all the medical waste or manage all the medical waste all over the country, because there are a huge number of healthcare establishments. In our research, we found that when you go for any public or private pathological center or clinic, diagnostic, whatever, you have to take the registration from the like what's this called, Directorate of Health. But we found a significant number of healthcare establishments running in Bangladesh, they don't have any registration. The good thing is, yes, NGOs are working on those. These are not institutionalized yet through Bangladesh government. But good thing is, already the local government, such as different city corporation in mega cities, they are working with the NGOs like Prism Bangladesh and the Directorate of Environment and Health. They now issue a letter actually Like if you go for any industry or any industry which generates hazardous waste, those industry has to treat their waste by Prism Bangladesh. So that's kind of NGO and government is collaborating a program, and they develop and Prism Bangladesh is right now in that level that they assure that they will maintain their standard, and that's why Bangladesh government already work with them. And as I said before, current government, none of the chief executive of government think about medical waste. At least now she thought about medical waste, and she gave some direction that we have to manage the medical waste, and she was interested to develop some kind of medical waste treatment plant all over the country. At least now people are thinking that is medical waste is a term. Before that, none of the hospital such as Dhaka Medical College or any of the hospitals think about that medical waste has to be treated properly. Otherwise, there is no function about the hospital or clinic, because you are going hospital and clinics to cure your health, to prevent disease, all those stuffs. But if you don't treat or manage the medical waste, there is no result. I mean, you are going to visit your family member in hospital, but you are carrying at the same time disease on your body. So now the situation is growing better. That's a good thing. And finally, Dr. Tariq sir, he is asking 3 questions, right? So I believe I have already covered the medical waste treatment plan questions. There is also one question regarding the river. I am not river specialist, so that's why I cannot answer exactly. But if you can ask, if you can remind me your last questions, that will help me, because I already forgot your last questions. Can you please repeat that question again? Dr. Tariq sir.
No, actually, that was about the agencies who are interested with the medical waste management in Bangladesh. As far as my knowledge goes, I think there was a rule made in 2008. And in that rule, actually, the responsibility was given to city corporation and NGOs, and basically, in modern day, medical waste management should be more strategic. It should be used more, state of the art technique, and then what we are following in Natual and other areas. That was my point.
Well, as I said, like there is only one NGO who actually developed the medical waste treatment plant and treatment center, because in a medical waste treatment plant, there is lots of things related, like ETP for effluent and liquid waste, like also autoclaving, incineration. Lots of things are related, and those normally provided by other donor agencies, and in Bangladesh those are provided by JICA and local government. They are as I said before, this government, none of the executives were thinking about medical waste. So that's the good initiative for this government. I would say they are particularly thinking about medical waste, and they now actually working on that. It was started 2008, a medical waste management rules, and then it revised on 2013, and I was one of the member on that time, but again I moved from the country, so I'm not aware about that. But so far I heard that one of the government, I think he is deputy secretary, he is working on current medical waste management practice and strategies, and he is doing his research on this in the UK. So maybe he can, when he go back to the country, he may again develop and revise the medical waste management strategy and rules. However, At present, government is not directly working on medical waste, but they already authorized Prism Bangladesh, as the Prism Bangladesh is only one institution, and they have their standard and maintain the level based on the international perspective, and that's why so many local governments, like local city corporations, already gave them their medical waste management treatment center. That's the situation so far. I know, I'm aware about medical waste in Bangladesh, and I mean, in the context of present situation, we have to more aware about medical waste from personal level to country level. And when any hospital or diagnostic center, like any kind of healthcare facilities are developing, they have to make sure that they are developing their medical waste management practice from the source, like from a patient bed, from a ward room where the medical waste is generating, that has to be collected and segregated through a designated medical waste trash or collector bins from the source, and transport to the medical waste treatment center separately, through a designated vehicle. That has to be considered. In that way, we may, and not only that, we need some more awareness program, through our print, electronic, and social media, that will help us that medical waste is a term. Before that, none of the people were thinking about medical waste is an issue. Thank you so much. Thanks.
I'd like to thank Mr. Masum Patwary for presenting such a timely and insightful topic. This gave us a brief introduction to project environment planning and research. I'd like to thank today's audience for attending today's webinar. And I'd like to end today's webinar with thanks to our
One more
speaker
thing, Mobin, one more thing, sorry to interrupt. That is, I would say again, thank you. Thank you, Movin, that you have spent lots of time with me to organize this one, and also Dr. Muhammad Tarek, sir, he invited me. So I would be so happy if you invited me again for any sort of like in detail of environmental planning or environmental research methodology. I can spend my time to conduct a seminar, symposium, workshop, or a training session. I would be so happy. Thank you so much. Thanks for all of your kind consideration and listening my lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Masum Patwary. The pleasure is all ours. And I'd like to end today's webinar with a concluding remark from Dr. Muhammad Tarek, sir.
There is nothing concluding remark. I think on my behalf and on behalf of BIGM, we would like to thank Dr. Masum Patwary again, and our heartfelt thanks also goes to you for your offering the seminar or workshop, or we'll discuss that in future. Okay, thank you, Masum Patwary again, and thank you all. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum and good night.